A Buford man's COVID battle made national headlines after he became so sick he was forced to undergo a double lung transplant.
Now, Caitlin Ross has the exclusive story on how he has fought his way back to good health and is finally heading home from the hospital almost exactly 1 year later. Caitlin?
Blake Bargatze knows what happened to him is rare. He was 24 and healthy when he got COVID-19 last year and ended up in a coma for weeks. When doctors told him he would need a double lung transplant for a chance to survive, he told me he wanted to make the most of that chance.
Here's the box.
Blake Bargatze takes 40 pills a day.
I fill up my pill box.
And he likely will for the rest of his life.
And this is one of my most important ones.
The now 25-year-old says the pills are just one of the ways his life has changed since undergoing a double lung transplant last year.
I can't have anything undercooked, so unfortunately I can't have a medium rare steak.
Steak aside, there's a lot that he can do now that he's come through the surgery. He can laugh, he can walk, he can breathe.
Surreal to think how everything went and how far I've come since then.
Bargatze got COVID in Florida in April of last year. He contracted bilateral pneumonia and his oxygen got dangerously low.
I was gray in the face, blue in the lips.
He was placed on a ventilator and almost immediately was put into a medically induced coma.
But they woke me up telling me that I needed a lung transplant or they'd just make me comfortable enough to pass.
For a healthy man in his 20s who describes himself as hard-headed, he knew he would do whatever it took to survive.
I just knew I didn't want to die yet.
Bargatze has a rare blood type, but incredibly, doctors found an exact match just 2 days later. He spent almost a year in rehab after the transplant, learning to do everything again before he was finally cleared to go home. He says he's still worried about COVID even as the pandemic wanes.
I can't live my life in a bubble. I will go out, I will live my life, but I will be much more careful.
Now that he has a second chance at life, he says he will make the most of it.
It's been a very humbling experience. It hasn't been easy, but I'm extremely grateful for those that have stuck by my side.
He moved back home with his family after he was released from the hospital, but next week he's actually moving out with a friend. It's a huge step for someone who didn't know if he would survive the night last year. He says his whole story highlights the importance of organ donation.